Week 2 of the NFL season just ended, and you know what that means. It is time for the Week 3 Power Rankings. In this video, I'll give you my top 10 teams in the NFL. Starting off at number 10 is a team that had a disastrous Week 2, like many other teams did, and that is the Philadelphia Eagles. They somehow lost to the Falcons when they're a better team, and they were a better team for most of the game. But in the end, they just died on the field. I don't know how they let the Falcons with Kirk Cousins go down and score a touchdown to win in under a minute.
Playoffs? I just hope we can win a game.
It seemed like it was an easy victory, and they just snatched defeat from the jaws of victory. That was a bit repetitive, but anyways, I know some people probably don't even have them in their top 10 and might call me a little biased because I am an Eagles fan. However, the amount of talent on this team is undeniable, especially on the offense, and that justifies them being on the top 10, as well as a solid win versus the Packers in Week 1. And, for all real purposes, they should have won this game. I know they didn't, which is why they fell all the way down to 10. The most concerning thing for the Eagles has to be their defensive line. They have not had almost any pressure in really 8 or so weeks. I know that goes back to last year, but a lot of the players are the same. They just have not gotten pressure like we're used to the Eagles getting. At number 9 is another team that had a shocking defeat in Week 2. Might be a similar story going forward a little bit. But that is the San Francisco 49ers. They lost to the Minnesota Vikings, and it wasn't that close. This was not like the Eagles where they were ahead, or they should have won, and then just ended up losing. No, they thoroughly lost this game. You do have to give them some credit or benefit of the doubt as for a team.
Yeah. Well, I'm just not sure about that right now.
Because McCaffrey was out, and then Deebo Samuel got hurt. However, this team does not look as good as it did the year before. For example, on defense, giving up 23 points to Sam Darnold and the Vikings when they lost Justin Jefferson at some point in the game. That's not what last year's 49ers would have done, and there are cracks. There is a chance that finally, coming off 3 good seasons and a Super Bowl appearance last year, they're slowing down. As we saw with the Eagles last year, it is tough to come back from a Super Bowl loss. At number 8, one of the most shocking teams on this list, but honestly, this top 10 is not what I would have guessed at all going into the season. Some teams have really surprised us, and we'll see what happens going forward. But anyway, number 8 is the Minnesota Vikings. Their defense has been just too good to leave off this list, keeping the 49ers down to 17 points and the Giants to nothing, essentially. I know they weren't scoreless, but in real football time, they kept them to nothing. So their defense looks like one of the best defenses in the NFL, even after losing some corners in the offseason. Their offense looks much better than expected. Justin Jefferson might just be that good. Maybe Sam Darnold has finally figured it out. Aaron Jones, the running back they signed from the Packers, still has it. And they're getting Hawkinson back in just a few weeks. So they could be better, or maybe it's some fool's gold. Who knows? We'll have to wait a few weeks to really find out. At number 7 is the Pittsburgh Steelers. Their defense is really good, and their offense is kind of iffy. But their defensive line, anchored by TJ Watt, appears to be enough to win a lot of games, or at least a decent amount of games. I don't think they're going to go on a crazy run in the playoffs or something like that, or even that they'll go like 12 wins this year, because their offense is still anemic. They still are not scoring touchdowns. They have 1 touchdown through 2 games, but their defense has just been dominant enough, and they have prevented their offense from turning the ball over, so they're getting wins. And you have to give them some credit, which is why they're at number 7. We'll see if they can keep it up against some better offenses in the future. At number 6 is the Detroit Lions. Of course, as we all know, they have good coaches, and it appears both of the offense and defensive side of the ball is full of talent. They did play two solid teams so far this year in the Rams and the Bucs, and they're 1-1. I'm not going to completely demolish them for this because the Bucs are solid. But this offense does not seem to be as good as it was last year. I think Jared Goff is playing worse than he was in the previous year. For example, this week he had 300 yards and 2 interceptions, no touchdowns. And with Goff playing worse, their offense just ends up putting enough points up on the board. 16 points against the Bucs defense is not enough. But I do believe in this team. I think if they run the ball more and Goff just gets marginally better, their defense is good enough where they can really get on a roll. They had 5 sacks last week. Somehow they lost, but still it appears they have stars on the offense and defense. It just might take a minute for them to pull it all together. But I still believe in this team. If you like the video so far, please consider liking, subscribing, and commenting down below. But back to the video. At number 5 is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Somehow, someway, they beat the Lions, which I thought they would get destroyed by. They also, of course, beat Washington in week 1. Baker Mayfield is playing very well. It seems like the Browns should have kept him, but that's another topic for another day. Chris Godwin and Mike Evans is a dynamic wide receiver duo, and their defense is very good. It's a blitz-heavy defense, and they cause turnovers. Like, for example, in this game, they had 2 interceptions, of course. It's not a team that's going to blow you away, but it is a very solid, steady NFL team that can win a bunch of games. They could also come back down to earth, but you have to give them credit for what they've done so far this year, and I don't want to discredit anything. So, based off their on-the-field play this year, they deserve to be the number 5 team in the NFL. Same goes for this next team. At number 4 is the New Orleans Saints.
Oh my God! Okay, it's happening. Everybody stay calm. What's the procedure, everyone?
Who would have guessed this? This is shocking. No one thought they would be that good going into the year. Even after destroying the Panthers, no one thought they were that good. But then they went out and shocked the world and destroyed the Cowboys really in the first half. Their offense is looking like the best offense in the NFL. It has long plays, it has running, has medium plays. Derek Carr is looking excellent, and their defense has played very well as well. The question is, are they going to turn into a pumpkin at some point this year? It's happened to Derek Carr a lot. When the expectations get high, he kind of dies off and goes away. So, can the Saints keep it up? I think we'll see another big test this week against the Eagles. And if they win this and they're 3-0 with what looks like the best offense in the NFL and a top 5 defense, you have to think maybe they're actual deep playoff run contenders. Who knows? I know no one would have guessed this going into the year, but this team appears to be for real, and we have to take them seriously until they show us that they're not serious. At number 3 is the Houston Texans. This is a team that has so much potential. So much potential. Their defense against the Bears was dominating. There was pressure on the Bears quarterback almost every single snap. That's crazy. They caused turnovers. They didn't give up very many points. Their offense has CJ Stroud and managed to put up a moderate amount of points against an elite Bears defense. This team is complete, and if they put things together, if they don't get any injuries, they could be a up-and-coming Super Bowl threat. At number 2, this is a team that some people doubted going into the season, but they're still here, they're still good, and that is the Buffalo Bills. The Bills' defense is still a very good defense. There was a lot of doubts about the defense going into the year, but I think we saw them overcoming a deficit and beating a pretty decent Arizona Cardinals team, and then dominating the Dolphins the next week. Their offense is still putting up a lot of points. Josh Allen is still looking very good, even though they don't have Diggs and really don't have receiving weapons. James Cook looks like he could be a very good running back, and they're just going to find a different way every single week to put points on the board. Their defense, as we all know, it's a good defense. That's kind of all there is, and I've been very impressed by this team. Some people thought their Super Bowl window was over. I think it is still open, and that just leaves one team left, and I know you probably can't guess who it is, real shocker, but that is the Kansas City Chiefs. And until the Chiefs lose, they're going to be number one on my list. You have Patrick Mahomes, you have Andy Reid, that's all I need to know. And I could just leave it at there, but I won't, because it's a really, really good team. Their defense is not as good as it was last year, but it is still a very good defense. I know they struggled with the Bengals, but the Bengals seem to just have their number, so being able to beat them shows that this team is really good. Travis Kelce hasn't even started playing yet. I mean, he has been on the field, but he hasn't really been playing, or at least it doesn't look like it, and they're still managing to get some wins. Rashee Rice looks very good. The rest of the offense is a bit concerning, and I know that's most of the offense, but with Pacheco getting hurt and just a lack of wide receiver targets, it's just Mahomes and Reed making some magic, and I think that's enough. Until someone beats them, they're going to be number one on my list. So thanks for watching. What's your thoughts on the top 10? Leave it down below. Like, subscribe, and I'll see you later.